All right, today we're going to talk about a pretty radical idea in education. It's a system that basically wants to throw out the clock on the wall and replace it with a portfolio of your actual skills. And yeah, this could totally reshape how we all learn and what a degree really truly means.
I mean, really think about that for a second. For literally centuries, education has been all about time, right? Hours in a classroom, semesters, the whole 4-year degree thing. But is that really the best way to do it? Is that the right metric? What if we could just measure what you actually know and what you can do, no matter how long it took you to learn it?
Well, a potential answer to that big question is this thing called the Academic Bank of Credits, or ABC for short. Now, even though it has bank right there in the name, we're not talking about money here. Think of it more like an academic vault, a place designed to store something way more valuable, everything you've learned.
Okay, so at its core, the ABC is basically a digital vault, a place where you can collect academic credits and get this, even from different schools. But, and this is the most important part, these are not your average credits. They're not just participation trophies. Nope. Each and every credit is tied directly to a proven skill, a specific piece of knowledge. It's what the system calls a demonstrated learning outcome. But look, this isn't just about making a fancier transcript. The ABC system is really meant to be a catalyst for some serious change. You see, its real goal is to get schools to kind of unbundle education, to take these big, giant courses and break them down into smaller, specific, skill-based chunks, modules that you can earn and bank one by one.
And that, right there, brings us to the very first ripple effects of this whole system. Because this isn't just some boring administrative tweak. Oh no, this is a wave that starts right inside the classroom, and it completely changes the game when it comes to teaching and learning. This really shows you the shift perfectly. The old way, it's all about seat time, just the hours you log in a chair, following a really rigid set path. But this new model, it just flips that completely on its head. The focus is now on competency, on what you can actually prove you can do. The path suddenly becomes flexible. You build it yourself from these little modular blocks. And success, well, it's judged by what you accomplish, not by the clock on the wall.
So what does this mean for teachers? Well, it asks them to totally rethink how they design a course. First, you've got to take your big subject and break it down into smaller, bite-sized learning units. Then, for every single one of those units, you have to define a crystal clear competency. And we're not talking about what the student will know, but what they'll be able to do. And finally, you have to design tests, like projects, where students can actually show you they've mastered that skill.
And once you have this framework, it just unlocks a ton of creativity in teaching. All of a sudden, you can have these short, intense courses on just one single skill, and they're totally credit-worthy. You could see modules that mix computer science with art, or maybe business with environmental science. The whole system just naturally pushes for things like blended learning and projects that actually solve real-world problems.
Okay, but this ripple, it doesn't just stop at the classroom door. It keeps going, expanding outward. It creates this much wider wave of change that has the power to reshape how entire universities and colleges actually operate.
And what's so cool is that these changes create this powerful positive feedback loop. So as schools start using these modular credits, researchers suddenly get way richer, more detailed data on what's actually working in the classroom, like which teaching methods help students learn a skill fastest. This, in turn, starts to influence the people who accredit schools, getting them to care more about proven skills than just time spent in class. And because the best modules can now be shared easily, great ideas spread faster and the quality of teaching just gets better for everyone.
Just pause and think about that for a second. Right now, if a professor at one university comes up with a brilliant new way to teach something, that brilliant idea usually just stays there, right? It's stuck within those walls. But what if that method is packaged up as a bankable module? Well, then another school can just grab it, try it out, and even improve on it. All of a sudden, innovation isn't trapped in these little institutional silos anymore.
So all of this stuff, the changes in the classroom, the upgrades at the institutional level, it's all pointing in one single direction. It's about building an education system that is, finally, centered on the most important person in the whole equation, the student.
And this quote here really gets to the heart of the whole philosophy. It says that student-centered design becomes the norm, the standard, because the credits themselves reflect specific skills. Think about it. If every single credit has to represent a real acquired skill, then the entire curriculum just naturally shifts to focus on what the student is actually getting out of it.
So just imagine for a minute what your transcript could look like in a system like this. Instead of just a boring list of course titles like, Intro to Econ, it becomes this detailed portfolio. It might say you've mastered microeconomics supply and demand modeling, or data analysis for market trends. Your academic record stops being a history of the classes you just sat in, and it becomes a real testament to the skills you actually have.
All right, so let's bring this all together. Why does a system like the Academic Bank of Credits really, truly matter? Well, it matters because it's so much more than just a new process. It's a deep philosophical shift in what we even believe education is for.
Ultimately, it challenges all of us with one big question. Are we finally moving past an era where a degree just means time served at a school? And are we maybe, just maybe, entering a new one where your education is a direct reflection of the skills you've earned? Skills that are provable, portable, and really powerful. Because that is the future the Academic Bank of Credits is trying to build.